Okay, this is my first video. This is basically a refinish of a Harmony vintage ukulele, baritone ukulele. As you can see, it's in really bad shape. I bought it for $5 at an estate sale. But I started with sanding everything. I think I started with 320 grit and then moved up to progressive through 400, 600, and I think 800 was the final grit that I used to take it all the way down, take the finish all the way down. And if I flip it over, you can see this is probably after I did the 400 grit, maybe 600, so it needed a lot more sanding. But as you can see by the next slide, I got all the finish off basically. And again, finally, I think I ended up using 800 grit sandpaper, and it took quite a bit of elbow grease, I would say, to get all the finish off and the scratches out of the finish on the front and the back. If you remember the very first picture, there was a lot of pretty deep scratch marks on the front of it, and took quite a bit of sanding. Yeah, you can see there I used 600 grit. This is all dry, so I didn't do any wet sanding, of course, because there's no finish on it. I did lightly sand the fretboard, and then as you can see, I'm getting ready to spray. I use a clear lacquer, Stu-Mac. I get my supplies from Stu-Mac. I use a clear lacquer on this. As you can see, it really turned the color kind of a brown color, so there was no need to stain it. I thought the natural finish looked pretty good. After I think I put probably 6-8 coats of the clear lacquer on it, and before I got ready to install the bridge, I masked off. I measured exactly where the bridge was to go and masked it off so there wouldn't be any lacquer in that area. And then again, I think I put another couple coats. I did have to replace the tuning keys. One of them was broken and one was cracked, so I ordered a set. Just the plastic tuning key itself, the hardware's original. As you can see here, the finish is turning out pretty good. And again, I masked off everything. Put another coat or two on before getting ready to install the bridge, which really was probably the trickiest thing I did on this instrument, getting it in the exact location, and then measuring it, making sure its relation to the 12th fret was exactly correct. And that took some time, a little bit of trial and error. But when I got ready to clamp it, I'm using wood glue, and it's the high-hide glue, and it tended to slide around when I started to put some clamping pressure down on it, so it took a little bit of work to get it stable enough and in the exact spot where it was supposed to be. Then I peeled off the tape, and then I had to kind of clean up a little bit of the glue that's squeezed out and let it dry for 24 hours. And I did not do a final wet sanding, which would probably, the finish would look a lot better if I used, a 2,000 grit, 4,000, 5,000, progress up to a 12,000 grit, which I'm going to do, but I haven't done it yet. And I think that would really make the finish come off like glass. You can see the logo, the Harmony logo is a little bit damage there, but most of it's intact. I think this is a 50s or 60s. I need to try to find the date stamped on the inside of it. But anyway, hope you like it, and this was a lot of fun.